Good afternoon from Porsche and BMW of Ocala. I'm Scotty, one of the BMW product geniuses over here, and today we're going to be going over a lot of the settings that should be set on your BMW 7 Series. Now, this is pointed out to a nice little forum member on Bimmer Post over here that he had his car recoded for something over there, and it messed up a lot of the settings. So this is what we're going to go through, is most of the settings that do need to be set on the car. Now, a lot of these are not even set from the factory, so this can actually help a lot of people that just got their new 7 Series, maybe wasn't set up right or anything like that. So whatever you guys need, just let us know over here. We're always happy to get y'all taken care of. But to get started, things are going to be a little differently in between the years of 7 Series. This one is going to be a 2018, so it's running the new iDrive 5.0 system on here. But it's still going to follow the very similar format to the iDrive 4.2 system. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is just come to Media Radio, either by hitting the little iDrive controller for Media, or activating it from the main menu, which I'm just going to do now. So when I come to the main menu, what we're going to do is come all the way down over here to Tone. And we get the tone. Of course, you definitely want to adjust your equalizer and everything like that, of course, to your liking. This one, there is really true no set style for it. It's just a matter of opinion on this one, or whatever you prefer to do, but you do want to make sure Logic 7 surround sound is checked. And now, to go from there, we're going to hit Media one more time, once more to get to Satellite Radio. And now while I'm on the satellite radio page, what I'm going to do is get to this almost like a little rewind symbol right over here. And I'm going to come to Time Shift. And then I'm just going to activate Automatic Time Shift. This is a pretty useful feature, especially if you're coming out to the car. You have to go inside the gas station for a bit. You don't want to miss your favorite song that just came on. What you can do is you can actually rewind it back. And you can see now I can re-listen to the song that just started on the station by over 2 minutes, because this car has only been on for 2 minutes. But if I remember correctly, you can actually record it for about 30 minutes, which is pretty darn cool. The next thing we're going to go from here is hit Menu. And once again, this is where some of the things are going to change a little bit, but it's still going to have a very similar format. And we're going to come to My Vehicle. We're going to come over here to Vehicle Settings, Lighting, Interior Lighting. And of course, once again, this one is all about preference. So you can set your color of ambient lighting, and I parked in the shade over here so we're able to see the nice little orange lighting throughout here. And I'm going to go ahead and just set it for green just for the heck of it. And we can see it all turn to green. We can set the brightness all the way up, or just dial it down. And you can see that happening in real time. Accent lighting in the rear, depending on your car's packaging. It could have the limo style lighting right over here on the B pillar. Pretty cool little light right over there. And you can turn that on or off, or adjust its brightness right over here as well. Pretty cool thing over here. Now, the one thing I do highly recommend is setting dim for nighttime driving. Essentially, what that's going to do is just turn off this upper line right over here, so while you're driving at nighttime, so you don't get a lot of glare on your windscreen or windows. Very useful for a lot of nighttime driving. We'll back out of there, come to exterior lighting. One sun certain signals. Once again, all these things are a matter of preference. We set that for 3 times. You want daytime running lights on, because many states actually mandate that as a law there. Welcoming lights, whenever you unlock the car, all the lights on the inside of the car turn on for the designated amount of time. Door handle lighting, of course, door handle lighting. LED light carpet. Now, if you're familiar with 7 Series, you know that they put almost like a wing shape along the doors on the 7 Series. A very nice puddle light along the car, just really cool looking. You can turn that on or off over here. But I do recommend setting pathway lighting for 40 seconds. Essentially, that's going to do is if you pull your high beam stalk towards you as you get outside your car, it keeps your headlights on for about 40 seconds. Really useful in a dark parking lot situation, or like a dark garage or anything like that. Just very useful, so you can still see your way around the car. And 40 seconds seems to be a pretty good amount of time, but just set it for wherever you prefer. We'll back out of there, back out of it again. Come to doors and key. If you want the doors to be all unlocked whenever you lock the car, you just select all doors. Or if you just want the driver's door only, you just select driver's door. Tailgate. If you were to pop the trunk through the key, you could either have it set for just the tailgate, or would you prefer to set the tailgate and the doors? And I'm just setting that everything over here. Lock automatically is going to be set if you accidentally unlock the car through the key or accidentally reach for the door handle. If you don't open up a door within 2 minutes, it relocks the car for you, so nobody can steal anything from the inside. Lock after starting to drive. Pretty self-explanatory on that one. After you start driving for a bit, it's going to lock the car automatically for you. Unlock at the end of the trip. This is one I keep off. Once again, just a matter of preference. I don't like cars to unlock themselves for me whenever I go into park. Just a matter of safety there for me, just in case. You never know where you're going to be parking. Turn off after door opening. This is essentially saying as you turn off the engine, and everyone gets outside the car, it's going to fully shut it off. Now, if you're familiar once again with BMWs, normally you used to have to actually hit the start stop button twice or lock the car in order to shut off the radio and everything like that. With the 7 Series and some of the newer models, all you have to do is just open up the door, make sure everyone gets outside, and it'll automatically shut off everything for you. Flash for lock and unlock, and acoustic signal for lock and unlock. Once again, if you're familiar with BMW, you know that if you unlock the car, it flashes the headlights twice and sounds a little horn twice. And whenever you lock it, flashes the headlights once and sounds the horn once. You can turn either on or off, whatever you want to do. And now, of course, for the newer models, once again, this can be a little different for yours. Fold mirrors when locked. Whenever you lock the car, you can have it so that it automatically folds in the mirrors for you. Pretty cool little feature there. Intelligent safety. Now, depending on packaging on this one, this can be quite different. Frontal collision warning, I actually typically set that for medium. I'm a little bit of a sporty driver there, so sometimes it's cutting a little close to get around people and such like that. So this prevents the car from just beeping at you all the time if you're trying to get around somebody or anything like that. Lane departure warning. Now this one is essentially, if you're going to start drifting from the lane, it's going to start vibrating the steering wheel, letting you know, hey, you're leaving the lane. But then you can also have steering intervention set that'll actually steer you back into the lane to keep you right in the middle. And right now it's set for reduce, but just in case, I'm going to set it as always. Now, depending if you're a fan of that or not, you can set it for reduce or off or whatever you want to do. Blind spot detection, I set that on medium. And once again, steering intervention is on. So if somebody's in your blind spot while you're trying to change lanes, it's going to actually try to steer you back as well as vibrate the steering wheel. Side collision warning on. If you're merging lanes at the same time as somebody else, the car will give you an alert, letting you know, hey, there's a possible side collision coming in. Watch out. Get out of the way. Pretty cool stuff there. We'll back out of that. Steering wheel vibration. I typically set this for medium. Some people prefer it on strong. Once again, a matter of opinion on it. Essentially, if you trigger blind spot vibration on the steering wheel, this is what you're going to feel actually through the steering wheel itself. You can either set it for medium, strong, or light there. We'll back out of there. Speed warning. We don't talk about this one. We're BMW. We're not Mercedes. We like to have some fun. Now, this one's a pretty cool little feature. And once again, all this stuff, I'm just making sure we get all the settings set properly for you. This one is going to be the driver attention control. Essentially, the car is able to detect if you're starting to get a little fatigued while you're doing a long drive, and it'll give you an audible tone as well as like a little coffee cup that'll appear on the speedometer over here saying, hey, maybe you should take a little break, get a cup of coffee or anything like that. You're starting to drift around a little bit, just to prevent you from possibly having an accident or anything like that, or falling asleep at the wheel. Go ahead and back out of that. Tire chains. I live in Florida over here. We don't mess with those too much. Not really too much snow we get down over here. But if you do have tire chains installed, you can actually set that the max speed on the car is set for 30 miles an hour just to prevent any damage. Parking. Once again, depending on packaging, things are going to be a little different over here. If you have like the options for rear cross traffic alert, a lot of that stuff is turned off from the factory. So you got to make sure you come in here and activate all that. This one does not have it, so we won't see it. But we do want to make sure automatic park distance control activation, which is PDC, is activated, which we can see by the little check mark right over there. Cross traffic alert, want to make sure that's on. Of course, if you start backing up or you start pulling out and somebody's coming in a blind corner, the car will alert you saying, hey, watch out, there's a guy coming or a person. Pretty useful little feature there, and we'll back out of there. And now, once again, depending on those options on the car, you can actually have it that there's a cross traffic alert with brake intervention and all that stuff like that. So you just might want to be mindful of that. Make sure you check all that stuff as well. Back out of here. We're going to come to driver experience control. For the newer cars, and yours as well, 2016, 17s, 18s, all the 7 Series like that, are all going to be a little different. But for these generation of car, the G11s, G12s, all that fun stuff, you can actually configure the sport mode almost like an M car. So you can set dampening for sport, steering for sport, engine for sport, transmission for sport, interior if you want the bolsters to close in for you for driver and passenger. I always like setting it for both. Or you can just reset it to normal. Now this is for sport individual. So whenever you hit sport once, you go into sport individual. And depending on the packaging, if it has M Sport, you also have Sport Plus. This one does not have M Sport, so it's just going into Sport and Sport Individual. And we'll back out of there. Then Eco Pro Individual. I usually don't mess with this one too much. I just keep it right where it's usually at. Sometimes I like to set the steering for Sport, just to make it a little heavier. Pretty useful on the highway, so it doesn't feel drifty or anything like that. Back out of there. Seat comfort. Driver seat. My personal suggestion for this one is to turn off show seat setting. Now, if I turn that on and I start adjusting my driver's seat over here, It pops up on the screen right over here, which can be a little distracting, especially if you actually, like what I always like to rest my hand down below on the seat settings right over here, and it is touch sensitive. So even if I'm not moving anything, it pops up on the screen, which can be a little aggravating, especially if you have navigation going, so I always turn that off. And this is also do the same thing for passenger seat. And we'll back out of there. Climate functions, the very important page right over here. You do want to set rear climate on, and I do recommend with default settings. Essentially, whenever you turn off the car, if you have kids in the back all the time that change the AC all over the place, whenever you turn on the car, it's going to set the rear temperature in the back for 72 degrees. Really nice and easy. Indirect ventilation. This one's a very cool little one. Turns on the little vent panel right up here. Now, if you have Bowers & Wilkins, it is going to look slightly different up there, but it's still going to be the same principle. We're going to have a little bit of air blowing up from up this little guy right over here. Once again, pretty useful in Florida to cool off the dashboard area a lot quicker. Automatic air recirculation. We do want to check that one. Essentially, the car can smell the air, detect high levels of pollutants, allergens, smoke, anything like that, and turn on air recirculation for you. Before on BMWs, you used to have to hit this little button to get to an A symbol. Now it's just one button or turn it off. Pretty useful there. Comfort ventilation. I recommend using this one for the phone app, but essentially this is going to be if you leave in the car, you want the ventilation system to kind of keep going, you want the fans to keep going. Once again, useful if you're going into a gas station just to grab something really quick, like a snack or anything like that. Seat heating distribution. Doesn't see too much use over here in Florida, but we do set it. I typically like to set it on the back a little bit more than I would on the bottom to prevent any sweatiness or anything like that. It helps you if you have a bad back as well to have it more back there. Pretty useful stuff. We'll back out of there. Back out of there again. Vehicle tracking. Want to make sure that one is on, especially if you're using the BMW Connected app. Very useful. You're able to track the car within, if I remember correctly, about a 900-yard radius to an exact location. Really useful for busy parking lots, malls, things like that. Now we're going to come back to the main menu. I'm going to go back into my vehicle, and now I'm going to come to iDrive settings. Mobile devices, we're good there. This is where the page you're going to come to, one of the pages, to connect up phones or tablets or anything like that. Wireless charging tray. I do recommend having forgotten mobile device turned on. So if you leave your cell phone in the little wireless charging tray over here, it will alert you, giving you a little chime saying, hey, don't forget about it in here. Language. I kind of like setting the voice control to English UK. Gives it kind of a foreign accent to the voice control system. Pretty cool little feature there. Server speech recognition and speaking during voice output. Server speech recognition you do want on. Speaking during voice output is a matter of situation. If you're more of a passenger in the car, I do recommend turning this off so you're able to do voice commands from the back seat or the passenger seat. But if you're always the driver, then you want to have it checkmarked so it only has your speaker on. Or I should say your microphone on. Gestures. Gesture control. If you're a fan of gesture control, you can have that on or off. Display tips, I do recommend there. Just just give you a little reminder that you can use them there. Pretty useful stuff right there. We can turn up volume, whatever we want to do. Audio feedback gives you a little chime or alert whenever you use it. And then function assignment, the command that you go like this, which is just like a little double point at the screen right over here, can be assigned different things. I typically just set it for mute and unmute. Just so if you're having a conversation with somebody, you have to do is point at the screen, mute the radio, and then you're good to go. Pretty useful little thing there. Touchpad. Now, this is one of your concerns. In your situation, this is pretty much what it's going to look like. The map is turned off. What you're going to want to do, if you want to use interactive map by just touching the little touch sensor on the iDrive controller, is turn this all on. As you know already, that you can use the touchpad for spelling if you're in case you're on navigation or anything like that, to type in addresses, phone numbers, anything like that. Search fields, same thing. And audio feedback would read the letter back to you if you are typing in all this stuff. I just recommend having this all on. Displays, heads-up display. Once again, this is all set of matter of opinion. It's a little dark out here. Let me go ahead and adjust that. We're getting a little bit of fluctuation over here through the camera, but you can see the heads-up display. Once again, matter of opinion on this one. Just adjust it however you like. Control display. In Florida, we have to have this bright all the time. Even at nighttime, it's still very dark. Instrument panel. Standard, reduced, individual. And that's going to be, of course, this guy right over here. You can have it set for reduced. You can see the elimination of the speed limit detection right over there. Or I can set it for individual and have certain things on there. Pretty cool stuff. I can also have the clock set for analog over here or digital. I'm a fan of the analog, just a matter of opinion once again. Time is always on the top right hand corner right over there. Date and time, you want to make sure this is set for automatic. Very, very important. This should adjust for daylight savings time, time zones, everything like that. And depending on where you live, or if you're a person of the military, and thank you for your service if you are, you can set this for standard or, of course, 24 hours. And of course, that's nice and easy. And then of course, if you're from Europe or anything like that, you may want to change from instead of a month, day, year to day, month, year, depending on what you want to do. But we'll back out of there. Units, once again, no matter of where you live or however you prefer to have it. MPG, you can set that for kilometers per liter, all that fun little stuff. Back out of there. Tone, once again, we're back over here to tone. We don't need to worry about that. Nothing over here for notifications. You might want to make sure these are all checked. Nothing crazy there. Pop-ups, I do recommend having these all checked except for these top two right over here. Once again, those are the seat setting ones. We'll back out of there. Software update, of course, you just got one on the car, but the service centers take care of all that for you, or they should. Getting started, we're already done with that, so we don't need to worry about that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to hit map. Now, this is one of the other concerns that you were having with setting up the little traffic lights. Now, these only show up when you actually have a route going. So what we're going to do for this page is just while we're on here, just like this, we're going to go in and hit the option button right over here, or we can swipe it to the right a couple times, but I'm just going to hit option, and we're going to come over here to navigation settings. What we're going to do from right over here, we're going to make sure receive traffic info is on. And of course, if you have a G11 or G12, you should still be receiving traffic info. It is still active for 4 years through BMW Assist. Map elements, this is a very important one. You want to make sure 3D buildings, and here is the one you were asking about specifically, traffic lights along route is turned on. And we're going to back out of there. And we're going to come to map style. I usually set it as standard, but you can have it as alternative, whatever you want to do. Just changes kind of like the color scheme, just ever so slightly. Day and night, I usually set that for automatic, but if you prefer like a night mode, just prefer the color or anything like that. Some people prefer that one. And then route settings. This is very important right over here. We're going to come into here. We want to typically set the default preference for fast. Dynamic guidance, I do recommend on confirm, because maybe you're using your address just to get to somewhere close by, not to actually get there. Let's say you have your address set to home, but you're actually using it to get to a restaurant near your house. This prevents you from having to just rerouting you entirely the wrong way. I usually just set it for confirm. Toll roads, I typically set for toll tag. Over here in Florida, we do have SunPass and all that fun stuff right over there. And lots of people have that one, so I typically set that for that. But once again, a matter of opinion, you can use cash, you can avoid toll roads, whatever you want to do. Online routes and learn routes, very important to turn those on. Online routes is going to use any online information about wrecks, construction, anything like that to give you information for rerouting or avoiding roads or closed roads or anything like that. Once again, to prevent backups or delays of time or on your route or anything like that. Learn route, if you have a particular way of heading home. If you keep setting the route and you drive your particular way over and over, after a while the car will learn that's what you want to do. And it will start learning, okay, we'll take this way instead. Pretty cool little feature there, but if you're not a fan of that or you just want to do it normal, just turn that off. Avoid highways, you definitely don't want that. In Florida, we only have like a couple ferries around this area, so if you're in Europe, I guess that's a little more applicable, but I usually turn that off. And avoid carpool lanes unless you do have somebody in carpool. Don't worry about that. Areas to avoid, that's where you can come to actually set areas to avoid. Maybe you don't like this neighbor, old John Smith down the road. He always gets angry every time you drive by his house, so you can avoid his house entirely, so the navigation system will try to avoid going in front of him. And that's about it. So we're going to back out of there, come back to the map page. And that's about all the settings on the car. Now, depending if you're in a hot climate or anything like that, you may want to set all these things over to blue and everything like that. Get your seat settings all set. And you do want to make sure that you are using your key for this situation. As some people are not familiar with, BMW works based on a profile system. If you unlock the car with one key and set all your seat settings, all your memory settings, all the things like that, and then you come into the car with the other key wondering why your settings are all not there, it's almost like having two cars. Whoever unlocks the car with their key, that's whose settings it's going to go to. Over 169 different settings are memorized just by unlocking the car with that key. So it's very important to remember, you always try to use the same key. Now, this can be bypassed. If you come to menu, my vehicle, driver profiles, and just override both keys to either be driver profile 1, 2, or 3, just all of them match the same driver profile. This can prevent a lot of confusion. Pretty useful little thing right over here. And you do want to make sure last seat position is set for automatic as well. But that's just about everything. Now, if you do have any more questions on anything, let me know over here. I'm always happy to get people all taken care of, especially buddies on the forum. But other than that, have a great day, and we hope to hear from you guys soon. Take care.